Welcome to the Spark Series, where we ignite conversations with innovators, entrepreneurs, and changemakers creating real impact. Our goal is to spark ideas, share journeys, and inspire action. My name is Jason Williams, CEO for the Society of Innovators. I'm excited to welcome today's Spark Series guest, Sam Cooper. Sam is the president and CEO of PolyJohn, a global leader in portable sanitation products headquartered in Whiting, Indiana. A third-generation family business leader, Sam has helped PolyJohn expand both its innovation capabilities and its commitment to serving essential infrastructure needs worldwide. In this conversation, we'll talk about the future of manufacturing, developing new products in a legacy company, and what it means to serve customers in an essential but often overlooked industry. Sam, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so first, just want to hear, what was your very first job? Think back. What was it, and what did you learn from that?
My first job actually was at PolyJohn. I would get picked up at about 4:30 in the morning. My grandpa would drive over to the house, pick us up, and I'd work on the factory floor. And he parked me with the maintenance department, I think, so I couldn't get into too much trouble, and learned a lot, really. The basics, when to show up on time. It was great. It was a great first job. I think I got $4 an hour.
Love it. And this certainly bleeds over,
yeah.
But I'd imagine it's hard to remember a time that PolyJohn wasn't part of your life.
Right.
So maybe beyond the actual job lessons, share a little bit about what it was like growing up in a family business and maybe some other earlier childhood memories that just really capture the spirit of what PolyJohn means to you.
Sure. I mean, being part of a family business, it's really kind of a double-edged sword. Sometimes the job comes first. And so I remember kind of growing up, my dad being gone quite a bit for meetings and things like that. But always wanting to be part of that. And as my brother and I kind of grew up in the business and started to see what went on, I think we started to really appreciate what they were doing for us and building a legacy for my family, for us as kids, and now we're doing kind of the same thing for our kids. Really, it comes down to legacy. I mean, my grandfather was a consummate entrepreneur. He was always kind of that guy who had an idea and went for it. And so I think his legacy to us has always been, do the right thing, take care of the customer, and success will kind of follow from that. So.
Yeah. I know I shared a little bit about PolyJohn.
Sure.
But in your words, what is PolyJohn, and maybe that brief origin story, going back to your grandfather.
So PolyJohn, nobody really gets up in the morning and says, "I want to start a toilet business." Yeah. So it's kind of a weird deal. But my grandpa was in the garbage business at the time, and they had started this liquid waste hauling business. And he met a guy named George Harding. And George Harding was a very, very interesting guy. He was a partner of Walt Disney. He worked as a GM of Chris Craft for a little while. He was friends with Ike Eisenhower and was instrumental in building the Liberty Ship program in World War II. And so he held the patents for the polyethylene toilet, which is in the 60s and 70s, kind of a weird thing, but it was a plastic toilet. And he came up with the idea when they were building ships in California during World War II, and he realized that as workers were, building ships, would leave to go to the bathroom, walk all the way down the docks, all the way back, and come in. It would take them 20, 30 minutes. And he said, we should build some outhouses out of it. So the very first ones were made out of metal, and weighed 1,000 tons and were probably 120 degrees in the heat, But he came up with making it out of plastic, which was a new thing at the time. And then basically met my grandpa, and they, sat down and drew out a partnership agreement on a napkin. Seriously. And got into the business.
Oh, it's wonderful. Thanks for sharing the story.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious, we've heard outhouses, sanitation services, plastic toilets, polyethylene toilets. Haven't heard porta potty once. Is that like Kleenex? Is that someone else's term?
Yeah, no,
okay.
Porta potty is like the catch-all term. I would say that sometimes they're called PolyJohns. which is funny. PolyJohn's, that comes from our name.
Love it. So going back to your grandfather, Ed, and again, it is safe to say that these legacy businesses are built on the values that outlast the people that start them. So when you think about your grandfather, what did he instill in the company that still shapes how you lead it today?
If your customers are successful, you are successful. And that was the absolute mantra that has been beat into our heads for 3 generations. And I continue to do so with the staff we have. Can you solve problems for your customers? Doesn't matter what they're doing. They could be hauling toilets around, seriously. But a lot of time, they're running a business, and running a business is hard. And so if you can provide a product and a service that makes their life easier or helps them be successful, that's where we win.
Some of your earliest work memories, do go back to, working in the PolyJohn factory with your family.
Right.
But you didn't start there, as you phased into your own career. So you left Indiana, worked in the energy industry before returning to PolyJohn.
Correct. I graduated from Calvin College up in Grand Rapids, got a degree in chemical engineering and chemistry. So I was one of those weird guys that liked organic chemistry. And so I'm graduating, and one of my professors said, hey, I have this really unique opportunity to go work in the oil and gas industry. I didn't want to work for the family business. And my dad was funny. He was like, I don't want you to work here. Go do something that you want to do. And so I graduated and said, I'm moving to Houston. What ended up happening was after a few years, my dad called me and said, hey, your uncle and I are thinking about exiting the business.
Okay.
And, you've had some outside experience, and we need to change here. We're kind of doing things old school, and the processes are kind of old school. And in order to compete, we're either going to have to sell and get out now, or we're going to have to go to bring this business to the next level. And do you want to come home? And I had just bought a house in Houston, and I said, yeah, I'll come home. And I took a 50% pay cut and moved back home. And started as a process improvement engineer for PolyJohn. So I wouldn't trade it for the world, because working in other places, a lot of times these family businesses, you only know what you know, and they only do things the same way for a long time. Getting outside opinion is an extremely important thing to do.
As you were able to phase into this leadership role, how did you start to identify, okay, here's this very traditional business. You alluded to the fact that your father and grandfather kind of old ways of doing business. So, how did you identify what needed to change first? What process or processes did you use to test and refine some of those new ideas before rolling them out?
So there's lots of different methodologies for process improvement. There's like 6 Sigma methodologies. There's lean methodologies, and engineering, I think, is a really, really good place to go if you're thinking about a career, because it teaches you how to think and how to solve problems. So once I'm back in the business, I'm looking at what we're doing and realizing that scrap rates are high. There's waste over here. All the process related to communication is paper-based. So what we ended up doing is saying, okay, what's going to bring the biggest bang for the buck and be small from a cost or a CapEx perspective, but have a massive impact? So we kind of started to prioritize things like, hey, if we look at systems, this will save us time and money. If we look at automation, this will save us time and money. Quality has to be a given now. You used to be able to compete based on, our product is better than this person's product. That is not the case anymore. I think most consumers today demand that their product is perfect. And so you have to maintain a level of quality that is expected. And how do you do that? Well, you measure things, and things that are measured get improved.
Give us a snapshot of the current state of the business. What are you making? What's being done in the buildings that you own?
So PolyJohn is primarily a plastics manufacturer. Our core products from the beginning have always been portable toilets. And then we got into portable sinks and portable showers. Hand washing stations were a big deal, especially during COVID. Soap dispensers. So we recycle 99.9% of everything that we've generated, and we have since the 90s. And then the recent expansions have been not just on the plastic side, but we've started to get into high-end restroom trailers, laundry trailers, shower trailers. And what's interesting is instead of just being on the construction and event space, it's opened broader markets for us. So the biggest one now, I would say, is disaster relief. I don't know if you remember Hurricane Helene hitting North Carolina last year. Our guys were working, 20 hours a day, getting product to people, tarp kits, hygiene kits, restroom trailers, anything you can think of, because infrastructure fails. And when it does, the number one thing people need is water and a place to go to the bathroom.
So I want to go back to your grandfather just a bit. He once said that we will always do what's right.
Yeah.
But how do you continue to carry that forward where right can sometimes actually be the harder or less logical path?
It generally is. Through life, you realize things and decisions that you make that sometimes there's an easy way and sometimes there's the hard way. And generally, the right way is the hard way. Typically, you avoid things that are like the difficult conversation you need to have with an employee about performance, or, hey, this isn't measuring up to what our core values are, something like that. And we avoid those things naturally because we don't like to have confrontation. Generally, those are the way that you're supposed to go. You can ruin your brand and your reputation in 5 seconds, and it takes 30 years to build it. So what I have always said to our employees and to our leaders and family is, look at what is the right thing to do from the customer's perspective first, and then what's best for PolyJohn. And I'll take it even a step further. What's best for our employees first, then the customers, and then what's best for the company. Because if you take care of your employees, they're going to take care of the customer for you. They're going to want to.
And now for any young entrepreneurs that are watching this, what is one thing you think they should know about building something that outlasts even them?
If you're an entrepreneur, you just got to get started. So many people are going to tell you can't do something, or you're not ready, or you don't have the funding, or whatever. There's a million reasons not to do something. What they can't take away from you is your passion and determination to prove them wrong. And to just go out and do it. And it might not happen in the timeline, and no growth is ever a straight line up. Everything requires decisions and hard work and effort, and it drops and goes up and down, and you might feel like you're failing. You just got to power through it. And success is not something that is just taken overnight. Success, everybody sees you cross the finish line and say, wow, look how successful that guy is. Well, they didn't see the 20 years of struggle that it took to actually get there, right? So I encourage anybody who has a passion for business or a problem to solve or an impact that they want to make in the world to just get started. No one's holding you back except you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Sam, it's been a great conversation.
Hey,
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Thanks, man.